When Ava Evans agreed to participate in a discussion on the BBC show Politics Live, little did she know she was about to kickstart a polarising debate that would end with Laurence Fox set to face the axe from GB News. The right-wing failed politician launched into a sickening rant during an appearance on Dan Wootton's GB News show on Tuesday, and made derogatory comments about Ava's appearance, as well as her sex life, during the shocking segment. Both Laurence and Dan have been formally suspended by the broadcaster, and while the The Sun editor has issued a grovelling apology for his behavior, as he was caught laughing and smirking during Laurence's rant, the former actor has refused to apologize. Laurence has since admitted he could have dialed down his lewd comments, but said he was too upset over what he saw as Ava's alleged dismissal of male suicide. "I could and should have dialed down the barroom banter, but I have lost male friends to suicide, and her dismissal of male mental health is very upsetting to anyone who has experienced such tragedy. We live. We learn," he wrote on X, formerly known as Twitter. On Monday, Ava took part in a discussion on Politics Live about calls from Tory MP Nick Fletcher for a Minister for Men, and appeared on the panel alongside comedian Jeff Norcott. They were quizzed on their opinions on the controversial issue, and Ava began talking about the impact of mental health on children, and urged Prime Minister Rishi Sunak to take a better course of action to combat the problem. "I think this feeds into the culture war a little bit, this Minister for Men argument. In my mind, I think there should be a Minister for Mental Health, which would be all-encompassing. You've got something like 7 million children waiting for prescriptions for mental health at the moment. It's a crisis that's endemic throughout the country, not specific to men. And I think, a lot of ministers kind of bandy this about, to sort of, I'm sorry, but make an enemy out of women. I think, not you, and I don't think your book is, but I think Sunak," she said, talking directly to comedian Jeff, who was on the show to talk about his book The British Bloke Decoded. No, I don't accept that," he replied. "And I don't think it is to make an enemy. If we looked at during COVID, men were more likely to die from COVID. And I don't class myself as a meninist or one of these guys. That's not who I am. I find it interesting that sometimes the argument is tend to throw back on." Jeff was then interrupted by Ava, who said, "But who was doing more work during COVID? A lot of the time, if you looked into people's households, it was the women who were taking on the laundry, the school care, all of that, alongside doing their jobs." "I'm not disputing any of that," Jeff replied. "What I'm saying is there are specific issues that men face that might warrant specific attention. I mean, literally, the biggest killer of men under 50 is suicide. That is an arresting statistic, and if that doesn't warrant specific attention. Mental health is an umbrella issue." Ava replied to his comments, and stated, "I have to say that's because a lot of women are unsuccessful, that is a lot of, that feeds into that statistic." However, Jeff was irritated by her response, and told her, "It just doesn't feel like you've got any space for this idea that men might have unique challenges that face them. And the problem is, even as I'm saying this, in my mind it's like I've got out the violin." Coming to the end of the discussion, Ava told him she would read the book, and I'll change my mind, as Jeff told the panel he didn't want to be this guy, because that's what part of the problem is. He added, "You encourage the one level, is that men need to talk about their problems more, and then the moment you do it, it's like alright, not quite so often, and not quite so loud." If you're struggling and need to talk, the Samaritans operate a free helpline open 24/7 on 116 123. Alternatively, you can email joe@samaritans.org or visit their site to find your local branch. Follow Mirror Celebs on Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube and Threads.
To